guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Savannah, and today I'm going to be going through a list of things of what I'd change about my mobile dog grooming van if we could build it all over again. I'm going to be going through a list of things that I wish we would have done differently, I'd like to change, or I plan on changing in our DIY mobile dog grooming van. If you haven't seen our conversion videos or any of the other videos that I have made about the van conversion that we did, I will link a playlist down below. If you are looking to do your own van conversion, you might find those videos very helpful. So I know that many of you have used our van conversion as kind of a template for your own vans that you're converting, which is awesome. But we had never built a mobile dog grooming van before. We honestly just wung it. And there are some things that I definitely would change looking back, or if I build another van, or I do plan on changing. The very first thing on my list is that I would add more lights. Now, it isn't too dark in there. We used LED pot lights on the ceiling. I absolutely love how they look, but the one area of the van, especially in winter when it's dark in the mornings and I'm working out of there, it can get a little bit dark and cast a few shadows, which can cause some issues because you want it to be nice and light and bright in there to make sure that the dogs are even and looking good. So if I could, I would add one or maybe even two more pot lights. The other thing is that I put the lights on a dimmer, and I've actually never used that dimmer. I always want it to be nice and bright in there so I can see. So we're actually gonna switch out the dimmer for a normal light switch and put the dimmer inside our house somewhere where we can actually use it. The next thing that I would change about my van, or actually just not invest in, is the heat strip that I put in my Dometic AC. Somebody told us about the heat strip that you can put in your rooftop AC so that you can use it as a heater in the winter instead of an AC that blows cold air. Now this does help a little bit, but it really doesn't warm up the space. I live in Canada where it gets to -40, -50 degrees Celsius, so I really need to warm it up in there sometimes. And honestly, I just wouldn't waste my money. I end up putting a ceramic little portable space heater in there, and that does the trick for me. So I wouldn't invest in the heat strip if I was to go back and do it over again. The next thing that I would change about my van when doing the conversion, and we actually have already changed out, is to put heat resistant hose in the back that runs from my clipper vac, my shop vac, my dryer, etc. In the summer, it gets really hot back there, especially with the generator being back there. So initially the hose that we had going from all of this equipment into my working area, when it would get really hot, it would split or it would start melting. So my husband actually ended up replacing all the hoses back there with heat-resistant tubing, and since then it's been awesome. So if I could change something, I would just put in that heat-resistant hose from the very beginning. The next thing I would change about my van, if I could, but it's not really an option for me and where I live, is lots of people with their DIY conversions, they actually run their equipment off of batteries instead of a generator. This doesn't really seem like an option for me because it gets so cold here. We just think that it would mess with the batteries and you'd be replacing batteries all the time. You'd end up spending so much money. The only reason that I would like to have batteries is because then you could have virtually no noise while you're grooming, other than obviously your clippers and your dryers, but you wouldn't have to listen to a generator all day. Also, moving into that is something that I would change, and we are going to change probably this month, is we are going to put a muffler on the exhaust for the generator to make it a little bit quieter. It honestly isn't that loud. The generator that I have is a Honda. I forget exactly the model. I'll pop it up on the screen and also put in a clip for you guys. It has been awesome, running great for a year, no complaints, other than I feel like it is a little bit loud, so we are going to add a muffler to decrease the sound. The next thing that I would change about my van that we actually might eventually change is to have the AC hooked up to either the van battery or a separate battery instead of to the generator. The only reason for this is that I am not able to run my dryer and my AC at the same time. It sucks way too much power, and then I'm always tripping the breaker on the generator and I have to go back there and flip it back on. So we might be changing the way that the AC is powered, but it's purely just because I can't run the dryer and the AC at the same time. I have a K92 dryer and also a Dometic rooftop AC. The next thing on my list that I would change about my van, again that I could change at any time, is we put a roof vent over top of the tub to get some of the humidity and moisture out of there. And I would honestly just swap it out for a roof vent that has a fan that actually sucks the air out. We went the cheaper option, didn't get the fan version, but it would be easy enough to change out. So that's something you may want to consider. I feel like it would just work a lot better if it had a fan that sucks out the air that I want it to suck out. The next thing that I would change about my van is actually how we designed the storage cupboard up above the divider between my working area and the driving area. Once again, we have never done this before. We just kind of wung measurements, eyeballed things, and tried to think things through as much as we could, but we obviously made some mistakes. If I could do it over again, I would raise the cupboard doors up a little bit. I'll put in a clip, but when you go to open the cupboard there, I also have a storage ledge where I put all of my snap-on guard combs, and if a guard comb is like kind of sticking up and you go to open the cupboard, it gets caught. So I would honestly just move how I put the cupboards there a little bit, and it's no big deal, but it is something to think about, the position of your cupboards, how they open, if things are gonna get in the way of them, etc. The next thing that I would change about my van is just to add more storage for blades and scissors. Again, I could add this at any time, but maybe some hooks or racks on the walls so I could easily just put all my blades in there or my scissors in there. Again, very easy fix, but I thought I would just include everything. Something that I would love to change about my van, but it's just not possible with the type of van that I have. We have a Nissan Envy. We did put in our own window in the working area on the sliding door, but if I could, I would love to have another window on the opposite side just to get some airflow through so you don't always have to rely on the AC. And I feel like the more windows, the better with humidity and moisture and all of that. We just didn't feel comfortable cutting into the structure of the van, so we didn't put a window on that side. But if you have a different model of a van where that's possible, I think having two windows opposite of each other to get that cross breeze can be really nice. When I worked out of a Wagon Tails van, the van did have two windows across from each other, and it was really nice on a perfect kind of windy day to have both of the windows open and get a nice breeze in there instead of just using the AC all the time. Something else that's kind of an extra that maybe I would change about my van that I've noticed I could have used a couple times is, again, when I drove a Wagon Tails van, there was a round mirror at the very back of the van so you could see your back doors. Now, when I drove that van, I always thought that it was kind of pointless. I never really used it. I guess I thought it was there in place of a backup camera, which it probably was. But the reason I've realized it could be helpful with my van is because I can't see those back doors when I go to drive away, and because I have to groom with one of my back doors open because my generator is in the back. There has been two separate occasions where I've driven away with one of my back doors open. So I think having that mirror there could prevent me from being forgetful and leaving that back door wide open and then driving away. It's been really awkward having people drive up beside me pointing and yelling that my back door is open. And that's purely just out of me either being in a rush or being forgetful. But now I realize another reason why one of those mirrors could be helpful, because I can't see if my back doors are open with my backup camera. Another thing that I would like to add to my van that I actually want to make myself, that you guys could maybe find helpful in your van as well to save on water, is a bathing system. You can buy Bathing Beauties and a bunch of other brands of recirculating systems for shampoo. It helps you use less water. It also saves time on bathing and saves wear and tear on your hands as well, not having to hand scrub dogs. I don't have a bathing system currently, but I do want to build one myself. And when we do that, we will definitely have a video on it. But I think it's something that could be an extra that might help you guys. So the very last thing on my list, and my most commonly asked question about our van when people see our conversion videos and also the van reveal, is they have a lot of questions about our Honda generator and how we actually have it inside the van. We don't have it on a hitch or a slide out, how that works for us, how we did it, how we exhaust it properly, CO2 problems, etc. And because this is such a commonly asked question and there's so many questions surrounding it, I am actually going to have a separate video all about our generator, how we kind of messed up, the changes I would make so you guys don't make the same mistakes, or how you can also have one inside of your van if you do want one. So I'm actually going to make a separate quick video on that so I can cover everything generator and get your guys' questions answered. If you guys have done a DIY conversion yourselves, please let me know what you would change if you could do it all over again. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below because I upload new videos every single week and I'd love to have you part of my YouTube family. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!